welcome again to Family Times. We are so happy that you could tune in. This is where we don't give textbook answers, but we give practical approach to situations, and based on experiences, we talk about stuff. Today we are going to talk about how to change your partner. I don't know whether that is possible, but let's find out. Joining us is this beautiful couple. They have been with us before, and thank you once again for heeding the call so that we can discuss. Say something, Ken and Josephine.
Thank you very much for welcoming us here. We feel grateful to be here, and I know it is possible to make a change, but not to change someone.
Oh, nice. It is possible to make a change, but not to change someone. Josephine, you want to just say hi to our viewer?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, and I'm so glad to find myself in the show today.
Okay.
Feel most welcome, and we hope that change will come positively.
Well, man.
I love that. Tabitha and Richard, this couple is amazing. Welcome and say something.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having us. Thank you, dear viewer. Please keep watching.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for everything. And welcome. We are happy to be here again. Yes.
Linda, are you prepared to change your partner?
I can't do that.
You can't do that?
Yes. I'll be the one who has to adjust because I can't change that person.
Okay.
Who is you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we already talking, and we realize that we are taking two lanes. Linda is saying it's not possible. Ken is saying, Ken, what was your word again?
I said it is possible,
To make changes.
But not change.
but it is not easy to change someone.
Okay.
You can make the changes, but it is not easy to change someone.
Let's paint the picture here.
Yeah.
These are two adults who've grown up in different environments, different setups. They've learned differently, though learning the same thing. You know, you can learn the same thing, but different approaches.
Yeah.
Right.
Coming together as husband and wife.
Yeah.
And then there are things that are basically annoying Richard.
Yeah.
And there are things that you'd want to change so that this person coming into your life can be also comfortable. You can be comfortable and this person is also comfortable. Practical. How is it?
Thank you, Dave. It can be difficult to change somebody wholly so that they change to your liking. People have the ability, they can change to a certain extent, but we can be limited because of the environment, because of circumstances, to exactly what we want so our partners to be. I met Tabitha, of course, and we spoke, and we are now married. You know what I mean?
Easier said than done.
Thank you. But, firstly, when we got married, I married a complete package. Within that space, when we were when we were moving to getting married, she was okay, and I appreciated her the way she was. What is it that I want changed in her now?
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And can I successfully change it? Yes, there's an extent for which I can say she has really changed. But then there is another one which is, you know, it's very instinctive. It's what she is, you know.
That's her.
Yeah, that's her. If I was to explain who Tabitha is without that, then that is not a complete Tabitha. Yeah. And therefore, there are things which will change she has to change, I have to change, so that she can accommodate me
yeah.
and I can accommodate her within this marriage setup. Yes.
Now, look here. You've said it rightly. Just the same way I met Linda, we talked,
Yes.
and we are married.
Yes.
There's something that attracted me to her.
Yeah.
But now there's something that I want to change, or I wish would be changed in her. Do you want to tell me that I never saw it?
You did.
No, he saw it. There are some
The-
who sees it but assumes that with time
You're going to change.
this thing is going to fade away, or he's going to change, or she's going to change.
She may not even
But
have
you-
thought
yeah.
about it. It may not have been necessary then for him to
Yes,
imagine that you're
it's
going to
true.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But-
yes.
I think most of us get married the wrong ideas. Wrong, I don't know that to say wrong ideas, because when you get married to somebody and you see some weird behavior and you're saying, oh, you know what, with time this person is, I'm going to change this person. And with time the weird behavior worsens. So it's already, God has already given you an opportunity to see this bad behavior in the person, and you still continue to go ahead and get married to this person, thinking that the person, you will change the person.
Ken,
Yes.
now you can qualify your statement.
Yes. The reality in life is the first time you're meeting. When I met my dear wife, Josephine, the first time, everything was okay. Everything was okay. Looking at her behavior, her smile, everything was okay. Even the way she was walking,
I'm waiting for
everything is okay.
But, or however.
No.
Yes.
Things are still okay. But along the lane, as we move,
That has come.
I came to realize that things we need to straighten so that we match.
Yeah, true.
Because the way she was and the way she was doing her things, the way eventually we were two different people. But since we came together, there are things that we had to straighten to come to terms with those things and at least agree. It was not easy. First of all, she was a Catholic. I am an SDA.
Very strong Catholic.
Very strong. So
So that is religion.
that is religion.
Not really denomination.
Exactly. So she had a pressure. There was a pressure of who is to change first. Before we get to be together, you either agree to go this way so that we walk the same lane,
Yes.
or I come this way. Eventually, it was
They say in Swahili, maji yakazidi unga.
exactly.
Josephine, you have the right to reply.
Actually, what I would say that in a relationship and that ends to a marriage, the most interesting part of it is now when we bring in now the differences. It is these differences that make us to become complete couples.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, we could have been like brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are saying that
Dave.
there is a possibility.
Just a minute.
Yes, Richard.
Before you go to the next point that you want to bring up, I hope we are not mixing this thing in the sense that the business of getting each other is away from the business of living. Get it? Living together, as she says, it requires something else. But the business of getting each other, especially when we spoke, is a different one. Yeah, that is a totally different attraction to each other. Sweet words. Whatever she said was just nice words. Hata kama, even if she would have abused me, said something about my head being big or whatever, that was always nice. Yeah, I would understand it. But the reality, as Kenna said, is a different matter. Because the reality changes people.
Yeah.
So that we can accommodate each other in this marriage, the reality then now brings the changes. And most changes, I believe, will be positive.
Now that is what now I want us now to talk about. I thank
Yes.
you, Ken, for that example.
Yes.
It to me it sets the pace
Yeah.
for this discussion. Linda here said that it is not possible to change. Now you can
Yeah.
quantify and qualify your statement.
I have met you when you're old. You've been raised in a different setup. I have been raised in a different setup. There are things that I cannot change in you, but I can influence you to be able to do it in a different way.
Do you
But
have
I
an example?
can't change you.
Do you have an example? Be,
Like-
be loving in your example.
Like, let me give an instance. Like, the way you talk to someone. You see, maybe you've been raised in a family where people just yell. And that's what you've known as your Bible truth. Like, the best way to talk to someone is to yell. But you find me, I'm soft-spoken, and you'll continue yelling, but you'll find me at times answering you in a very polite way. But then with time, you'll find yourself calming down. Yeah. So I will have influenced you to change from that part to the other. Yeah.
I want to come back to this scenario, and maybe you could also give others. This is an unbeliever, someone who doesn't believe in God, and this is the person you are attracted to.
Yes.
There are couples out there, there are people out there, probably young people who are dating. How then do we bring in this? Because we are talking about how to change.
Yes.
It is a process. There are things that you never liked. There are things that you wanted to move in certain direction. How did that happen? What was the practical approach towards that?
I think I just want to answer for the atheist, yeah, the non-believer. I think I want to talk about your spiritual growth, right? Let me give an illustration of somebody on the table and somebody on the under the table. Is it really under? But like you're standing on the floor and somebody standing on the table. Now you're trying to pull this person who is on the table, and the person on the table is trying to pull you. Chances are you who is not on the table will pull down the person who's on the floor. What exactly is my point? Yeah. If I am not spiritually strong and I want to involve myself with somebody who does not know God, chances are this person is going to pull me down, right? So you have to be spiritually strong so that you get married to this atheist. Otherwise, the Bible says that if you're unequally yoked, you shouldn't get married. Now, another point is changing things. There's some things that sincerely you cannot change, but there are some things that you can change. And there's some things that we should not even accept, because the Bible says. Like, for example, Ellen G. White talks about, Nancy Van Pelt, the book To Have and to Hold, and that is page 43, talks about the things that you must you accept everything, you know? Now she talks about infidelity. Now, are we going to just accept infidelity because we are believers? No, we shouldn't, because that's what the Bible says. There are some things as couples, we should be firm and say, hey, no, this cannot happen. And how are you going to do that? One, by the way you behave. Two, your spiritual life. You cannot expect me to be faithful. Of course, it's not like if Richard is unfaithful, I also have to be unfaithful. That does not work. So how am I going to encourage Richard to be faithful? How is he going to encourage me to be faithful so that we can walk the same walk?
Let me give an example. I used to be an ardent fan of English Premier League. And of course, there are matches that would be played late in the night. And there is no better place than to watch a match with friends.
Yeah.
And where there is noise, because you know when someone scores and
yeah,
you're there in the living room and there is no one helping you to celebrate. So I used to go and, just watch. What was your approach?
I didn't complain. I used to maybe watch with him, or at times he just watches and finishes his match. Yeah.
No, that is now the answer to what, because I used to go
out, yeah.
and watch. Sometimes there are matches that would end past midnight.
Yes.
And then I would come back to the house. She has to open the door for me.
know.
Then I remember there was a statement she made. She was like, you really like unapenda mpira sana. So that was a statement, Ken. The only thing she didn't mention is that more than
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah.
And that statement itself
Hit you.
hit me. That statement itself hit me, and of course I started to change, and it was a process.
Yeah.
Right now, I really don't mind what happens, but I would go back and
And
check
still,
who
yeah.
won and who
Yeah.
did not win. Ken, do you have such a scenario, something like that?
Yes, thank you, Dave. I want to echo something that has been mentioned by sister here. And it is very strong that you don't need to accept to change everything. You don't need wholesomely to change everything. What I understand is there is no marking scheme for the right or where when you are in marriage. These are the deeds that you need to follow, or these are the things that you need to follow in marriage. We don't have the marking scheme. You just sit and you work well with what goes well with you and with yourselves.
Tailor-made.
So I also have a scenario where I am a bit talkative. I talk a lot, and she's reserved.
That makes the two of us.
Yeah. So I have tried to change her to talk a lot by talking a lot so that she can respond, to adapt. And she has refused completely. She's quiet.
Do you know why?
I don't know.
Tell us why.
I think in the process of changing, we need to look at what is it that you want to change. You should not be in a position that you try to recreate somebody. You recreate or you remodel.
Yes.
Yeah, either that works. So that it comes best to what you to your desire, something of sort. So let's say he talked a lot. I'm a bit naive, a bit introvert.
Introvert.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if both of us were introvert,
It would be boring.
how could it be?
Boring.
How could the house be? It
It's-
could be boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why, as much as we need change, but we should not try and remodel somebody to our own image.
I'll dwell on her
It's
point,
important that it's important to mention that one thing I've succeeded in doing
Yes.
is to change this lady to talk a lot. Talk.
He has made my point go away. But there is something that happens. I think when God brings people together, we are to complement, like we are to be complete. Like you have this other side of life and this other side of life.
Like he talks, she listens.
Yes. So what if both of you are talking, who will listen to who? It's still chaotic. So I think there's an aspect of blending that God really intended for us to have diversity. Yeah. So we can't change everything in someone. There are some things for us, we will always learn new things and have new experiences. Yes.
Let's do some baby steps here.
Right.
There are things that we must change immediately. There are others that will take time. For example, Richard, we must just change this man who doesn't want to take a shower. He takes a shower after 2 days or 3 days. I know of someone name withheld, and I know he is watching, who takes a shower after every 3 weeks.
Is that exaggerated?
No, it is not. I know he's watching, that's why I don't want to mention the name or where he's coming from. There are things that we must change immediately. Do you agree?
There are
Yes.
things that we must change immediately. Firstly, I talked about accommodation. Somebody who doesn't take a shower for 2 weeks, that person is stinking.
Even 2 days.
That is
person
okay.
is
If you
thinking.
look at him,
Now-
he's fine.
My take, this is my take, that the kind of things that we can change are basically acquired things, acquired habits,
Yeah.
bad habits. Those can be changed. Yes, those can be changed.
Gossip.
But what God has done with me, what God has made me to be, may not be easy to change. You can't change. Yes, if I acquire the habit of going to watch a football match, I can easily be made to change.
Linda is giving an example of what God has made in you,
Yes.
which is complexion. You can continue.
Complex.
Which you cannot change.
Yeah. Yes, one of them. But ladies these days can change it. Anyway, that's on a light note. There are certain things. The real fabric for which we are made may not easily change, because one is acquired, and it's just made. We have things we perceive differently because we are
Yeah.
basically different
Yeah,
characters.
we're different.
But there are others which we just learn. Practice, for example you're giving us about watching football. I do like football. If it was giving me a lot of some jitters in my house, I brought the TV to watch it within the house.
Yes.
That goes on. So that bit of for her to accommodate me to watch this football. She may not come and watch it with me. I may shout my voice forever. But then I'm within the comfort of my house, the comfort of my house rather, then it gives her peace. She can now be sure that my husband is in the house and therefore whatever is watching, let him just enjoy it.
Yes.
After all, it only takes 90 minutes. It doesn't go too much. Yeah, so it will come to an end eventually. She can easily accommodate that. It's an acquired habit. Yes. It's just an acquired one. Not that if it's not there, I'm going to die. No, it's just an acquired one.
There's a couple that is fighting or they are struggling with a nagging partner. How do we go about that?
Goodness me. Yes.
Ken?
That's a very funny one, huh?
Yeah.
It is true. You may find that those who just want their problems to be resolved instantly, that leads to such type of nagging and quarrel. If it is a habit that you have in you, you are quarrelsome, you are someone who wants to bring problems all the time. Sometimes, Dave, there is something I also noticed in my house. That
Speak freely, brother.
that sometimes there are things that are automatic, especially the moment we have our kids and you want to correct the mother instantly and they are looking at you. Do you correct the mother as you use when you are together without the kids? So there are things that automatically change with the situations as you move. When the
yes.
children are there, you cannot tell her, wait, stop doing this and that. There is a way. So some things just come in a different way. Yeah.
Ken, I've also noticed something in my house.
Yes, say it
I speak freely.
freely.
My kitchen. I've talked about this before.
Yes.
And, I'm beginning to realize that what she said, I don't know whether it was for her defense or it's the truth, but I think it is the truth. There are things that you cannot change. You walk into the kitchen and, you know, you have to walk carefully because things are everywhere.
Exactly.
But,
But when
Dave,
the food is served, it's brought on the table, it's different. I don't know. Should I just forget about that or what do I do?
what do you do? Number one, before I answer that, I want to talk about the nagging part. Once you've known that Tabitha is nagging, what is it that you do that makes her nag?
And maybe Tabitha doesn't even know that she's
And
nagging.
maybe Tabitha does not even have an idea that she's nagging. It's just part of her life. Now, if you've known that if you step on Tabitha's toe, she's going to start nagging, then be smart enough. We ask God for wisdom each and every day. God, give me wisdom. God, give me wisdom. If God has given you wisdom to know that, hey, if I do this, she's going to start nagging, do it differently. And then another thing, we also taught that before you do, if you have a situation with your spouse, pause before you respond. And if there's something that you can do about it, do it. You brought up the idea of kitchen. What is wrong with you just going to help, Mr. David? I don't see there's no harm completely by just going to the kitchen to do. When you do the dishes, I promise you, there's going to be more love in the house. And that does not mean you're going to be a lesser man. That does not mean that, hey, because dad is doing the dishes, you're going to be a role model to your children. You know, many times we have this mentality that the kitchen belongs to the woman. That's not true. The whole house belongs to all of us. I might not even have the energy to do the dishes every day. Or I might not have the energy to do the house every day. He might not have the energy to do 1, 2, 3. But because we are a ministry, he is a driver. I'm going to be helping him so that when he's driving, I give him directions. Hey, you're going to be turning right in the next exit. Won't we be a happy family?
And again, like when you say...
Would you want to say that after the break or it will get
it's
lost?
okay.
You can say it, but I want you to say it when you have the energy and time. I hope I'm not trying to change anything. We are just coming back, and we are trying to get to understand that there are things or aspects in our spouses that we can be able to influence to change, but the others that we cannot change. So then how do we live with them? We haven't talked about much examples, but we are coming back and promising that at the end of this, we will be somewhere trying to change. Remember, is how to, because how is a process. See you after this break.
For God so loved the world.
That will not let me go.
Behold what manner of love.
Yes.
Come see what manner. I can't tell you. You have to see it for yourselves.
That he gave his only begotten Son.
Redeemed.
I think it's important for us to forgive even if they do not confess. But for me as a Christian, I need to confess.
That whosoever believes in him.
I know whom I have believed.
God's intention for us is higher, way beyond what we can ever imagine.
Should not perish.
Follow the lamb whithersoever it goeth. If he says stop lying, stop lying. If he said keep my commandments, we keep them.
But have everlasting life.
On Christ the solid rock I stand.
We've been studying God's word and looking at steps that we ought to follow in order to get to know him more.
Let all things now living sing a song of thanksgiving. Let all things that have breath praise the Lord, for his worthy. Come everyone and join in breath of praise.
This brand new season is coming soon on Hope Channel Kenya.
Welcome back, our dear viewer, and thanks for staying tuned. In case you're just joining us, this is Family Times, and we are talking about how to change your partner. It may be difficult, and so we have underscored that sometimes it is not even practical. But how then now do you get to live with this drunkard? How then now do you get to live with this non-believer? Hoping that one day it's gonna change. That is our discussion. And Linda, you wanted to weigh in on something before we went for the break.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, like for example, I want to give an instance of a drunkard, like you've said. He's your partner already, he's drinking. What do you do? I think the best thing is, number one, is to ask God to give you that ability to be able to be of positive drive for him. Like for example, someone comes home so drunk, he's so dirty, and he comes home so late. You as a lady, what do you do? I think sometimes some good actions, the way we'll treat this person, will alter this person, will be able to help this person change from worse to being better person. So I think the way we treat people with the shortcomings they have, I think we are able to move someone from point A to the other. So I think good deeds bring the bad deeds to be converted to the good ones.
I want to come. I want you to talk about tolerance, but before that, Tabi, in one of the previous episodes, you talked about Proverbs 31. What Linda is trying to allude to. Would you give more flesh to what she's saying? Is it possible for you to? You see this guy or this man is doing the wrong things,
Right.
but you want to try, and that is still tolerance. That I also want Josephine to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what Linda has said. If you are that woman who is going to be bashing the husband and in every single opportunity, if your spouse is a drunkard, just like Linda has said, and every time your husband comes, you're all bashing words, find out why he's drinking in the first place. There could be stress, there could be bad influence, you know, it could just be family. So once you've known why this guy is drinking, and it could be a lot of money, he could be having a lot of money. So if he's having a lot of money, do you take that money away from him? No. Just have a conversation when he's sober. I always say, for example, when you have a situation, don't hit directly at that time when your spouse is angry. You know your spouse very well. You know that, hey, this is a happy moment that you can throw in one or two. I have my moments when I just, you know, when we're all happy, I'm like, you know, I always don't like 1, 2, 3, 4. And he could be like, oh, okay. Or at times like, whatever. But at least I've, you know, I have already made the point. So make sure that you don't bash your spouse. It could also be the vice versa. You know, we also have women who also drink, women who are just irresponsible. We are not only talking about men. So when you know that your wife is irresponsible, what do? You need this marriage. God has put you together. There is no question like divorce. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So,
Josephine, then Ken.
Oh.
They say ladies first,
Ladies
but
first.
when there is no danger.
Okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
I think it's a wise thing to be tolerant to your spouse. Let's use the example of maybe one is drinking.
yeah.
As much as he's drinking, we need to show them that love, you see. We need to show them that we love them the way they are.
Yes, yes.
We like them, yeah. Normally, I think it's more, it's more sound, it brings more sound when you say, I like you the way you are. Yeah. So with the drinking, you still love this person. And now what you need to do is to separate the doer. We have the doer and we have the deed, you see. So the doer, that's your spouse, that's husband you met. You didn't meet alcohol or what, but now you need to show love to your spouse and deal separately with the drinking bit of it, you see. So I think in that, if you handle it that way, the love you have in your house will endure forever.
There could be also a need to find out why
Exactly. Yeah,
that
why?
is happening. Yes, because you know there are some.
Especially when someone changes to the worst, the negative. But there's the change in positive side and the negative side. So when there's a negative, we just need to sit down and pray a lot about it, because God can reveal to you how to deal with that thing. Yes.
And then there are also support groups, you know, if you have a spouse who is drinking, who is, you know, the different challenges that we go through in the family. There's always that support group. So just get the support groups, talk about it, because if you don't talk about it, depression kills. Yes, and that's why I thank God I'm a woman. Because if I have a, you know, when you talk about a situation, it's kind of half solved. But if I have a situation and I'm just, you know, bottling it up, and before I realize it, I'll die and leave my drunkard husband.
We are coming to that, but there is a challenge towards that. Can you had something before I come to this challenge?
Yes, she mentioned something again which is very interesting. I think because she reads a lot, even now she is having a book. I think that is why. She's bringing very powerful words. But just to ask, sometimes, like personally, I like giving examples with my family. I like a certain type of food which she doesn't like.
Okay.
Anytime I bring this food to the house to be cooked, she's a very good cook, by the way. Thumbs up for that.
Oh, thank you.
But this one of mine, when I bring it, is not prepared the way others are prepared.
She is communicating something.
She's telling me, and she doesn't like, even if she's eating it, she will eat it
with an attitude.
Yeah, with an attitude. eventually tells me even the way it is prepared, it was not prepared to the top. So in such situations, sister,
the book reader,
do I really need to eat like she's eating, because this is my best meal?
Have you shared with her and have you told that this is,
So you can also
really
go in
don't
and
think.
prepare it.
Yeah, sometimes I do it myself.
In this, I thank God for this show. We
Yes.
get revelations. You're
Yes.
just about to get an answer.
Yes.
Josephine, go ahead.
I think there are things that takes time to change, and there are things that will take a very shorter period to change.
Yes.
So am I in the process of changing or making an adjustment on that?
She's trying.
Yes, I'm
You
trying.
are.
Yeah, I'm
You are.
really trying so that he feels okay.
And
Willingness and
that is now where we are getting to, Richard.
Yes.
The challenges that we face when we try to make some changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are two ways to go with this, Dave. I think that we either surrender and let it go, or continue, persevere.
Yes.
In trying to
Fight
change.
on.
Yes. Backgrounds come up in this one. Where did I grow? Where did she grow? Did she grow? And these environments, they grow in us, and we have them in our minds. I know there are people who would say that if I like this meal and I can, so and so likes this meal, my husband likes this, and I can't do it, then why can't he come and do it himself, whichever way, so that he can satisfy himself?
Yes.
Because I don't know how to do it. You are abandoning what you are supposed to be doing. I know we look at situations now and say husbands and wives should be so free that the husband should be cooking and the wife can as well rest, if it is called so rest. But there are people who like to go to the kitchen, whether man or woman. That's their upbringing, that's what they are. There are those who are not used to that because they didn't grow up that way. It may take a while for anyone to change to get to a place where they can now go to the kitchen as a wife does. It is not an argument. A woman is fit for what they're doing since time immemorial, and the man is good for what they're doing since time immemorial. Society defines us as men and women based on the things we do as men and women. But there are those that you can let go. You can just let go. Oh, this is how I like it. My wife cannot do it. Anyway, let me forget about this food. Because it's bringing conflict. I can let it be. I can let it stay. We can go on that way. But
Ken,
on
why
the
are
other
you
side...
Ken, why are you looking?
But
looking
if
at
you
me?
know
on
how
the
to
other
cook
side,
it, yeah.
Because Ken
let me just
cannot
finish this. On the other side, the lady, in this example, the lady should thrive to do that. If you do it once,
So that people meet
it isn't fitting, he complains about it, says it's not good enough, do it a second time, but ask us. Find out. What do you think about this one? Even if for a small, even for a white lie, they'll tell you, I think it's better than the other one. That means you're making progress. She's changing and she's moving. And therefore, it can change eventually. But if it doesn't work, why don't you change yourself and say that, let me forget about that.
But I think, Ken, the way you
That's just
also
an
told
example.
Jasmine, the way, for example, if you cook as a woman, and then you just told to your face,
People like praises.
you know, exactly everybody, right? So there is a way you can also approach Josephine and say, sweetheart, you know, I would prefer it this way. Then next time, if you know how to make this meal, do it together. Do it together. And so Josephine will see the steps. Say, okay, you know, I always do this instead of this. And with time, you're going to get your perfect.
That is okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yes.
But in this scenario where now it's not possible for Josephine to change.
Let it go.
And you said let it go, and he looked at me like, my goodness, I'm done.
No, because sometimes there are some changes that if they happen, they cause a lot of friction and you grow to the negative. So if you see that thing is going to lead you to the negative, it's good to surrender. You won't die.
Let it go.
Yeah, you let it go.
What about a case where I am supposed to change?
Yeah.
Clearly, it's affecting us, but I have refused. I've built a stone wall.
That means your spouse is not a believer of God. That means your spouse does not want this marriage to work.
Oh.
Because, yeah, if you do not want, if you just don't want to change, sincerely, your goal as as husband and wife is to grow. But if there is a situation and I really do not want to change, where am I heading? Yes, I have a different goal than my husband.
Time and space will not allow me, but I must talk about finances.
Right.
And these are some of the things that really are the first initial changes that we would want to make. She came into my life, I was a spendthrift. She's still in my life, I still spend. And right now I can say I spend irresponsibly. This is hypothetical view, I am not the one. But could be there's someone who is struggling with this and the couple is fighting because I earn this much money, but she doesn't see it. Instead, we end up spending to the negative. I mean, that scenario, what is happening, Linda?
A lot of things happen because I think, number one, there is no communication and transparency there, which should be so that this conflict is not there. And again, there is one person who is blocking, like blocking is not open-minded for maybe us sharing of how we need to run, how the finances need to be controlled. So basically there is someone who is blocking the whole process. And when there is a blockage, meaning there's nothing that is going to happen. Things will just go to the worst. Yeah.
And also it depends on how you're going to present this. I like what Tabi said, that you look for a forum where there is free space, you can talk about it. But now one of the challenges that come when you're trying to change is what she's saying, communication. There could be lack of communication, and you have also rightly put it, that it is not always all the time that we want to correct something, right? Because there is a situation here, the finance, the cooking, even the denomination, you are fighting so many things. What do you think that has to do with the children? How is it affecting the children?
Definitely the children will be affected negatively because the children will be torn between, hey, for example, if you don't worship the same day, if one worships on this day and you worship on this day, where is the child going to end? Where is the child going to end? If you're talking about, for example, brushing your teeth every morning, you're insisting on your child to brush the teeth every morning, but you're here brushing your teeth at 12. Which example are you leading? So children have a way of looking at us. Children have, I'll give an example of my very favorite pastor, the late Pastor Angienda. He gave as an example of one time he was telling his kids that when you brush your teeth, you don't have to put a lot of water and spit it everywhere. So one time he thought he was by himself and he started brushing his teeth. And he was outside in the village. He was like, you know what? I don't have a sink too. So he started spitting, and then he says, like, Dad, what did you tell us? So your child might be watching. Let's be very, very careful on how we do this, especially when the kids are watching, or even when they're not watching. Yes.
There is this scenario of this man who drinks and smokes.
Right.
So one of the children picks the butt, the cigarette butt, and puts it in his mouth, and he's comfortably sitting there. Then the father comes in, and that is when now he realizes that he has influenced this child into smoking. And sometimes even the alcoholic dads, they come in drunk, and the children are watching. I mean, look at that scenario. The tension that is in the dining, when food is eaten with some kind of attitude, that is already tension, right? So then how do we come out of this? How do we come out of this? Josephine, how would you, now that we've talked about this and we've learned a few things, how would you now approach this case?
I think transparency is quite important in our marriages when it comes to finances. You need to be very transparent with your spouse. You need to know how much is he earning, so that will help you when doing your budgeting for the house. There might be a loophole. He could be getting good money, but he's a poor planner. But you as a wife, what is your role? You need to assist your spouse in that you need to budget, like in the house we need A, B, C, D. You know, like maybe it finds that the amount of money that goes to alcohol and cigarettes, it's like, to him it's like there is nothing that he is supposed to do with that money. And yet there are things that you need to do in the house that requires that money. So you need to sit as a family, put a budget, work on a budget, have things that you plan to do, so that in case you'll find that most of his finances will be committed towards building your house. You see. Yeah, so we need to be very, very transparent to each other.
Communication again is key. We need to sit and talk. Like what Tabi says, find a suitable time for your spouse to get to understand the importance of maybe doing 1 or 2 or 3. So communication is key. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very true. I want to agree fully. Communication is very important, because that is when you say what is in your mind. And you say it openly because you want to have a very open and well thought about answer or reply. Some people call them family meetings, where they discuss finances. We have a meeting today, we are discussing finances. We are short on this one, we are short on that one, we are doing this, we are doing that. Now let's work on this one again. What will be the most comfortable place for us to go? What can we do so that we ease the problems that we have, which are actually financial? Discussion, talking, communication is very important.
You asked a question which we have not answered about a child who's found with a cigarette butt. And I'm sure many viewers have found themselves there. Now, it is very, very key to have a conversation with your child. Why am I saying this? We are blessed to have a young adult in the house, and we have had moments where he puts us down and says, you know what, I'm not of your generation. By the way, this is real. But how do you respond to that, you know? So if you are in a situation like you find a child, and by the way, it's not all cases where parents smoke, but your child ends up smoking. Not all cases where parents drink. Just have a conversation and tell your child the benefits. Because, hey, you probably did that, but you know what the repercussions of what happens when you smoke. What happens when you drink? What happens when you do this and that? So as a parent, don't despair. Just have a conversation, you know, depending on the age of your child. If your child is that little, go down to the level of that child. Have that conversation. They listen. Yes.
Are there instances where we may need to involve a third party?
So many.
Yes.
So many, because when you have a conversation, when your child is doing something or when your spouse is doing something and they continually do it, what do? You can involve a pastor or you can involve somebody that is neutral. So that if, for example, if Ken and Josephine are my friends, I go and tell them and add so much salt so that when they come to my house, they're all leaning to my side. They're not helping. But if you have a neutral person so that you will be able to face Tabitha and tell Tabitha, that's not right. Richard, that's not right. You'll be helping. That I believe.
Thank you. Ken, I want you to respond to this statement. Yes. When we change ourselves, others tend to change in response to us.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's very important, and it is true. The moment you change, the moment you decide to take a different direction, especially the ones that will boost the well-being of your family, automatically you will see, even in the house, you will see a change in the family members as well, automatically.
Yes.
And I fully agree with that. And we need to emulate that. But notwithstanding, allow me just say a word on this.
Yes.
When Tabi talked about finances, and they said that you find sometimes the female, wamama hawa wanajua kuweka pesa. When I say I don't have money, it means money is not there. They will say they don't have money. But at some time, you sit down, you find food is coming. That means they had some money. They don't have, but there is something. I don't know whether you have experienced that.
But
it is
she has
true.
a job.
So that means all these things,
Yeah.
the backbone of everything is communication and trust. Once you communicate well and you have trust one another, then the family will grow and move on.
Thank you. Richard, your final words.
Yes, I want to respond to what Ken is saying, which is very true. I think ladies have a way with money. The money stretches a little more than a man's money. The reason is because we don't keep money, or we don't do things that money need without the other, thinking about the other matter. They have that second thought about the money and how it's going to stretch. Yes, but to our esteemed viewers, we want to encourage all of us that we can change certain matters in our spouse. There are certain ones which may be difficult for us to change. We take them to God. We give them to Christ so that Christ can change his own child and make them come to where we want them to come, if it's for his glory. But there are matters which we can change because they are just acquired. There are things that we acquire out of the environment. We just pick it, somebody did it, we saw it, and we just followed it without really thinking about the next person who is going to be affected by our actions.
Thank you.
Such kind of matters can be changed. And give it to God. Things will be okay.
Give it to God.
Yes.
Tabby?
I want to read from the book Nancy, To Have and to Hold by Nancy Van Pelt. The final word that she talks about change is found in page 43, the last paragraph. To have and to hold. No one can possibly meet every one of our needs or dreams. Consequently, both partners must settle for a union where reality exists. A successful marriage then is not one where perfection reigns, but rather where a couple maintains healthy perspectives when viewing their irresolvable differences.
Thank you. Ken, you have 10 seconds. Your final word.
Thank you very much. Change is gradual, and change is possible. It depends on how you present yourself in the house, but above all, God first.
Thank you.
Amen.
Josephine?
Just to finalize, and everything that we would want to change in our families, let's commit everything to God, be it finances, be it spiritual growth. Let's commit everything to God.
Asante sana. Linda?
Philippians 4 verses 8, I'll read. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are good, are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think of these things.
There you have it, viewer. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is not very easy to change, but when we trust in God, He will help us to change, or to help our spouse or our friend or whoever to change. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Ken and Josephine, for coming. God bless you. See you in the next episode.